Okay, Sis Lou, I have to ask, what was your big unlearning or your great unlearning?
My great unlearning was moving from being a victim to never ever being a victim, no matter the circumstances, no matter the situation.
Woo! I can feel that. I think it's going to be a really, really good episode. So let's get started with today's episode of the UnLearners podcast.
The UnLearners. Learn, change, the unlearn. I think if you take one courageous step at a time, it's going to be such the unlearn. Learn, change, grow.
Hi there, UnLearners. Thank you so much for joining today's episode of the UnLearners podcast. It's absolutely amazing to have you here for another conversation of how people just like you are letting go and grabbing hold of limiting behaviors and mindsets, but also building new, expanded versions of themselves. And the intention of this podcast is nothing other than to show you that you are part of this clan. We are your squad. Everyone around you is going through an unlearning journey, and sometimes you just don't know it until you sit down and have a conversation with them. Because sometimes that person is in a position, in a growing organization that sometimes makes you feel intimidated. And I think today's conversation is going to show so many people how, regardless of where you find yourself or who you are or the title that you hold or who you think you are or who people think you are as well, you are just another unlearner who is going through your journey and changing consistently. Because today's guest is none other than Sis Lou Rasebotsa, and she is the current CEO at Bidvest Life. So I got involved with this amazing lady when this organization was having a huge transition. So it's been a while. Thank you so much for joining us, Sis Lou.
Thank you, Zanele. It's my greatest pleasure to be here today.
It's amazing to have you. This amazing human that I'm with, guys, has just the most amazing energy. And if you can't feel it, if you're listening or watching, then I promise you need to follow her work, and just feel her energy, but also see what she's working on. So let's start right at the beginning. I want to understand who you used to be, because there's so much drama in being able to challenge what people told you had to be. So talk me through who you used to be when you used to fall victim to those ideas.
So I used to be one who'd wonder, why me? Why is this happening to me? But then I quickly moved forward and thought, if not me, then who? Who should it happen to? And I think my journey really started when I was going through a divorce. And I'll speak from my personal experience, the person that I am. And you know, when you go through a divorce, you also play victim. It's not about you, and then you think, he did, and why is he behaving like this, and. But then I thought, you are part of this. You can't remove yourself. And that's when I asked myself, what did you contribute? What is your contribution to the situation? And very quickly it snapped, and I thought, wow, it's values. It's not about him, it's not about me. Yeah. It's just that our values are not aligned. Yeah. And then I thought, why am I judging somebody's values? It's their values. And I owned my own values, and I thought, okay, fine. If the values are not aligned, then we are not suited to be together. And wow, when that happened, my ex-husband then very quickly became my friend. And we get on along like a house on fire. We were just not meant to be married, but we are good individual human beings independently, but not to coexist.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Talk to me about the power of an internal locus of control. Because when you, like you so beautifully said, take the focus from this is happening to me, this person's doing this to me, the world is not going right, the economy is this, into me. What do I have control over? What can I do with where I am and what I have? Talk to me about What comes with that, with shifting your perspective in that way? How does it feel when you finally make that change?
It's actually very liberating because then you understand that you can't change the people around you. The only person you are in control of is you at a very deep and personal level. So then you own your space. You own every situation. You own every action. And each time you think of doing something, you quickly think of the circumstances. And then you're like, okay, fine, I'll go ahead. Even if it comes with this circumstance or this consequence, you own it. And like I say, it becomes so liberating. So even deciding to be here this morning, it's a choice. It's a choice I made. And I'm very happy to be here. So even with everything that I do, even with what you eat, you know, like if I'm gonna eat this fat cook, there's something to pay for thereafter.
Yes.
So you go big on above chocolate, knowing very well that you must hit the gym in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So you own it. Yeah.
I adore that idea because there's so many people, and maybe that's what we can speak to next. There's so many individuals that can point to society as how society is consistently almost creating a cocoon for us to be victims. There's so many things that are saying, no, you're a victim of circumstance. Look at where you came from. Look at your dad. Look at your mom. Look at your community that you grew up in. This is who you're supposed to be. So what would you say to someone who's saying, no, actually, I've been taught to be a victim. I have been told from maybe a very young age, or I've seen this as something that is part of my identity.
Listen, I think as we evolve as people, you create your own identity. And you must make it a very personal thing. And I think it's part of unlearning. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter the background. Listen, some people are born into wealth, but they end up bankrupt. So it was their choice. Some people are born into poverty, but they turn out to be the next billionaire. It's a choice. It's a mindset. You decide intentionally, deliberately. You have got to own. When you land in this world, you're an individual. Never mind how you landed into this world. You create the person you want to be. It's part of unlearning, Zanele. That's what you teach us all the time.
It is. It is. And that's why we're here. So maybe let's talk about that. Let's talk about your great unlearning. Talk me through exactly how it happened, the precise moment, the moment when you made a decision to say, I'm going to let go. I'm going to challenge this behavior and I'm going to jump into a newer version of myself.
So I think I'll take it back to being a divorcee, and you talk about society and societal norms. So it's about when people, in the context of divorce, and they think when you leave a marriage, you failed. But actually, if the shoe doesn't fit, you take it off. You know the pain of wearing a tight shoe and trying to walk in a mall. So when you're in pain and you know that this is not going to work, actually, letting go is the best thing ever because you're owning it. So for me, as I speak to other women who go through divorce and they come to me, I say to them, actually, somebody who leaves a marriage which is not working for them is actually very successful. You've done well for yourself. You're not a failure. You've succeeded. Understanding that this is not for me. And trust me, I'm a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of being married. And I encourage those in that sort of relationship to stick to it. But to a point where if it's going to make you crazy, you better leave. If it's going to take your life, you better leave. And I speak about values in a relationship. So if one is a financial delinquent and the other isn't, it just means your values are not aligned. And it's okay for the other person to be a financial delinquent.
Yes.
If the other is promiscuous and you believe in not being,
Yes.
it's their choice. It's okay. And don't judge them for that. That's their choice.
Ooh.
Just that your values are not aligned.
Yeah.
If how you want to raise your children is inconsistent with your values, it's also okay. Actually, you actually turn out to be greater parents when you're not together, right? Because there's no arguing in front of the kids, you know? And so for me, that's what values are. If you believe that your parents are important and your partner doesn't, values not aligned, and it's okay. Don't point a finger. Don't judge. I think so for me, it's that learning is not to judge. Just never judge.
I think I'm seeing that beautiful meeting of letting go of victimhood and then just getting to a place where you can just say, and you kept saying it, and you're like, it's okay. It's okay. Hi, Bo. Sis Lulu, you know, a lot of people don't get to that place because we are taught and we are socialized to worry about things. Is this straight? Is this okay? Is that fine? Is that person okay today? But it's so impressive to me that you have adopted and are obviously still learning that over time. It's being tested, I'm sure, by different people.
Even in the work environment.
Exactly. But you've gotten to a place where you can start to say, it's okay. It's fine. There's just misalignment. How do we recoup? How do we space things out again to see where we can move forward? And I think that that is so beautiful. So talk to me about who you are now that you have worked on unlearning the victimhood and adopted this beautiful ideology of it's okay. There's just misalignment in this area, misalignment with this person. How do we move forward? Talk to me about the person that you are now, what that's allowed you to be, what that's allowed you to build, and who you've become as a result.
I think what this has done for me is also getting to understand the power of just saying no.
So boundaries.
And the power of, as one cousin of mine says, what's the use of a mind if you can't change it? It's okay to change your mind. Yes. You know? It's okay to say, and not to take advantage of other people. It's okay to walk away from friendships or what you thought was a friendship, because as we evolve and we grow as people, we change along the way. And it's okay. It is really okay to decline invites.
Yes.
You know, when you're invited, it doesn't mean you have got to go. It's okay to feel like, I don't want to be there. It's okay. Most importantly, don't disappoint yourself by being in a place you don't want to be at.
Because then you don't grow, right?
No. And you're miserable because you're trying to please other people.
I like that you said the idea around changing your mind, because that's why the UnLearners as an organization exists. Literally, our vision is to build a world where it's okay to change your mind, because we don't get taught, no, it's fine. If you wanted to wear this shoe yesterday, it's fine. You can wear the other one. If you feel like today, that one's not fine. But I think being that person in a world full of people who don't believe that can be really challenging. So maybe as we close off, talk to me about what you do, but also what people can do to be that person who is an unlearner while everyone else hasn't come to the self-awareness that it's actually okay to change your mind.
I think being an unlearner also empowers you to become very adaptable. And also, I think it's about understanding that maybe selfishly or arrogantly, you're ahead of the journey. The rest will follow. But bring them along on the journey. Share life stories. And that's the power of storytelling. And I think that's why we're here today. Be adaptable. Remember, you might be a fast mover and catch on to things like that. Not everybody is like you. And accommodate them. Be accommodative. Be adaptable.
Love it. What a beautiful note to end off this conversation on. You have been amazing. I adore you, and I follow on Instagram. So if you don't follow her on social media, please make sure that you do, because not only are you creating a name for yourself in business, in that space, but also you're just one of those human beings that sits in conversations like this to share and to create community around who you are. So thank you for being that person.
Thank you, Zanele, for inviting me. And one thing about me, I love young friends. I love young people. I say to everybody that people my age, we have the same problems. I don't want that problems. I'd rather deal with young people problems.
At least you got some variety, right?
And that's part of unlearning.
It is.
In Setswana, there's a very powerful saying that says, "Botlhale jwa phala, botswa phalane." It means there's so much to learn as an adult from those who are younger than you.
It is a part of unlearning, you're right. Exposing yourself to different ideas and mindsets. Beautiful. I love it. This beautiful gift over here is for you to say thank you for being the person you are, but also thank you for sharing with the community of unlearners that you are a part of. I know that people will be inspired and motivated by this episode, but also it will remind people that they're not alone and that there are people like you who are owning their journeys and owning their transformations. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for understanding my love language. I love gifts.
See? I love it. We should do an episode on love languages because I'm all about them. Thank you so much, guys, for being able to tune into this episode and having this discussion with us that's been so, so powerful around really shifting and challenging that victim mentality to own who you are, but then also to free other people of your own interception, to say it's okay for them to be who they are. How do you become an unlearner in a world of people that are also unlearners, but also in a world of people that are still becoming unlearners, which I think is so, so beautiful. So thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that you will be joining us on the next episode of the UnLearners podcast. For now, I'm saying goodbye. And it's myself, Zanele Njapa, the Unlearning Lady. We'll see you next time on the podcast. Bye.
The UnLearners.
So we're going to just do that final video.
And I think you take one courageous step and it's going to be such the UnLearners. Learn, change, grow.